I have been having bronchial allergy for a long time, and today I think it got provoked. That's why I went out for some time. I was coughing a little worse, badly. So that is one issue. The second issue is the legs should be strong, because in a classroom it is the faculty who has to stand, whereas the student will sit and enjoy. So, right from my childhood, my legs were very weak. I used to get, some kind of a pain in the evening, because we were in a village and therefore we had to walk, for example, 5 kilometers one way to school in the village school. So, while coming back after that, and there was no slippers and all that in those days, so nothing. You just go, and then there was a stream to be, we had to cross, and which had only bridge, means the two trunks of coconut trees are kept there with one, road on the side, and that was why we were crossing that stream also. So I used to get this kind of a problem. My legs were very weak, but one of the things that I find about entrepreneurs is that if you have a constraint, they'll convert it into an opportunity. And that, I think, happened in me, not because I was entrepreneurial, because of my disability of this. I used to sit and read. I wouldn't go running around playing and all that. So right from the childhood, I developed a habit of reading. And in our village, my father was a writer, so we used to get some periodicals and magazines and all that. But in addition to that, for example, in those days, if you go to any shop, the things are packed in newspaper cover. So when it comes home, I wouldn't allow anyone to tear it. We have already 2 newspapers coming to the place. But then I take it out and then read that portion also. So that was the way I think I developed this habit of reading, and that helped me in some way in my academic life. So that is what I said, converting this constraint into an opportunity. So occasionally, of course, in our system, we can sit and talk and all that, because I was working mostly in places like Administrative Staff College and, in IIM Bangalore. There, things are very flexible. There's no rigid rules about, for example, somebody was asking about the syllabus in IIM, and of course he would know, and Balaji also would know. There is no syllabus. The faculty is free to design the course, and you provide the session-wise readings and cases and the topics. The advantage of that is, if you have a syllabus prescribed by a university, which is maybe 5-year-old syllabus, the newer things you cannot include in. So here the faculty can do all that, and therefore it was a perennially, moving forward kind of a system. Similarly, we could also design our own system of evaluation. We can decide how we would be evaluating the students, and each faculty can decide depending on the course. The only disadvantage I found in our IIM system is that the classroom was a gallery type of a classroom, where the furniture is not flexible, and the central portion is too large, and therefore if you want to interact with the student in the middle of that, it is very difficult. You need to go inside, and there will be very limited space and all that. For that, I found the best place is Administrative Staff College. There is a level floor like this and flexible furniture. It's not even like this hard, very light kind of a table. You could move around and all that. So I used to make a horseshoe arrangement, which would facilitate interaction within the small group and interaction directly. Like one horseshoe will be sitting like this, another horseshoe like this, a third one like this, and fourth one. So this is the design I gave it to our conference room attendant. Every conference room had an attendant there, because this particular institution was created by the government for supporting what they called at that time the mixed economy. You know what is a mixed economy? When after independence, we had that kind of a concept. In the mixed economy, the industries which are required to invest heavily and all that, that will be reserved for the public sector. And the other ones, like support services, will be only for the entrepreneurs and private sector and all that. And these two will be regulated by the government sector. So this is the concept of mixed economy. Now then, the government thought, these people should interact among themselves. So for that, they created this institution called Administrative Staff College. This is under the government. This was the first institution for management development. And they're very senior executives, like IAS, IPS, IFS, and all those people. IFS, there are two types, that, I suppose. One is the Foreign Service, the other is the Forest Service. Both are called IFS. And, in those days, some government, departments used to send letters only in Hindi. So he was a supervisor of the wildlife or something like that. When he wanted exemption, like once you are nominated, the faculty will have to give the permission for him to, move out of the program. So I remember once I received a letter. He wrote elaborately. He had some personal issues and all that. So at the bottom, his name was there. Then the other thing, it was all cyclostyle in those days. So his designation proper in Hindi, that was not there. And he was in charge of wildlife. Therefore, in brackets, it is written Vanya Prani. So I thought that was his designation. But anyway, the Vanya Prani. Anyway, so this place was created for developing interaction, just like what Balaji is doing for you, developing interaction among yourselves. So the importance was for interactive learning rather than for learning from lectures. And therefore, because they are all senior people, they have a lot of experience and knowledge on their own. So interaction creates much better knowledge, and that is why, in some cases, companies insist on having their own programs in the institutions. Only their executives would come. I tell them this is not a good thing at all. Because if your people are interacting among themselves, then you are creating an inbreeding system. It will not get you newer ideas. Whereas you need to have a heterogeneous group in order to, so people from different sectors and organizations should come together and interact. And that is why this particular organization has got its motto from Rigveda, where the meaning of I can't remember the full Sanskrit sloka, but the meaning of that is, let us live together, let us interact, and let our minds comprehend together. So this is the ideology you are implementing here. I'm very happy to listen to all your golden vibes and all that. And then I also started reflecting whether, of course, there is this saying that old is gold, So I'm the oldest among all of us, so I thought maybe I have something gold in me, but I couldn't find any at all. It is all probably rusted iron that I have within me. So with that, but then there is a kind of difference. That is, gold is generally used only for external shine, for ornaments and those kinds of things. But iron is not that way. Those who are in the construction business would know that in the pillar you will have iron, not gold. So maybe there is some kind of a merit in having the iron within you rather than the gold. Anyway, so I am not discouraging you from your golden vibe. That should go on. but it should not end up as just an ornament. It should be something deeper. Anyway, so now coming to the other issue like heuristics and all that. I was a little hesitant to talk about that because I remember one old story. There is somebody who is managing some schools here. Okay. So this is a story about a teacher. The teacher was teaching English tense, and so she wrote a sentence. I am beautiful. What is a tense? So a little boy looked at her and also the sentence and then said, "Madam, that is past tense." So my case is also like that. Heuristics is a past tense. Now it may not be relevant for all of you because this was developed in a different context. Of course, definitely there will be something to learn from almost everything. Therefore, I can explain to you that. Before that, I think Madam raised one question. If IIM professors or academics are very good in research and they have so much of knowledge, then why are they not becoming entrepreneurs? Very relevant question, isn't it? And I faced this question in some other context because I introduced this concept called Entrepreneurial Heuristics. The first research paper in the whole world was mine. On that particular, I introduced that term. Heuristics term was there, entrepreneur was also there, but making them together, calling it an entrepreneurial heuristics was my contribution. And my professor at IIM Ahmedabad, I developed this while working for my doctoral work at IIM Ahmedabad. So my professor was so interested in the kind of concept I developed, and he said that this is a revolutionary concept. And when I moved to Administrative Staff College, he used to keep on writing to me, encouraging me, saying that you should submit your thesis to Academy of Management. That is one of the topmost bodies for management-related issues in the US. So you should submit your thesis to them because every year they are giving an award for the best thesis on entrepreneurship. That is called the Heiser Award, very prestigious award. So because he encouraged me, I sent a copy of my thesis to the Academy of Management. Sorry, just an abstract, not the copy of. So, because I was not very hopeful that I could make an impact on such a world-renowned body in the U.S., based in the U.S. What is the issue? I sent the abstract, and then immediately I got a reply saying that we would like to see the full thesis. And I sent a copy of the thesis also to them. And surprisingly, that year in 1989, I got the Heiser Award. And that was a surprise to everyone because nobody from India so far got it. And after that also, nobody has got it. Therefore, it was considered to be a kind of interesting concept, at least in the by way of thesis. And therefore, I thought I should publish that as a book. So I modified that and developed a book text out of that. And this was sent to Sage. Sage is one of the at that time the most significant publisher in social sciences. So sent it to them, and after that I got a fellowship to go to Canada, 1 year fellowship. So I went there. I was in a place called Calgary, University of Calgary, and I was there And SAGE is an international organization. They have offices everywhere. So they publish, and the books are available in all countries. So they knew that I was there because we used to correspond about the book and publication and all that. So when that was the time when finally they were releasing the book. So they said, shall I send the 6 author copies to you at Calgary? I said, all right. So one day a big packet came. So normally in those days only letters used to come, nothing else, big packets. So one of the Canadian colleagues was surprised. And he said, what is this? I said, that's my book. So I had a very youngish look at that time. so he was surprised. You wrote a book? Then I said, yes, I did. And then he said, who is the publisher? I said, SAGE. Oh, then it should be good. Because SAGE is the best publisher for social sciences. So he said, can I borrow a copy? I'll read and then come back and return. I said, all right, you take one. And he took it. 2 weeks later, he came. And I thought, since I have introduced this kind of a concept, he would ask something about that. But instead, she asked the same question as what this madam was asking. He said, Mathew, you seem to know quite a lot about entrepreneurs. Why haven't you become an entrepreneur? And then, of course, we academics have got this particular ability to realize the situation very quickly and then respond appropriately, maybe. So I suddenly realized that Calgary was a place known to have been occupied by dinosaurs in the prehistoric era. And, they got some fossils there. And they kept all that in a dinosaur museum and other things, everything was there. And libraries were created about dinosaurs. And the researchers on dinosaurs from the world over used to come over there. So I told him in a lighter vein, there are so many people doing research on dinosaurs here, but none of them have become dinosaurs. That's your answer, madam. And incidentally, if I am working on women entrepreneurs, which is a very important topic nowadays, if I am I can do a research on that, but I don't have to become a woman, no? So, what you become is partly genetic. And then the rest of it, your early family socialization. And for that, the biggest responsibility is with the mother. Because the reason is, for biological reasons, the baby spends most of the time, at least up to 2 years, with the mother. And therefore, the kind of ideas that mother implants in the impressionable age, according to Freud, is from 0 to 5 years. Even from your conception stage, it happens. And that is why in Mahabharata you have Abhimanyu's story, where he was in the womb and somebody was describing something about the Chakravyuha and all that. He could get it. Because this period from 0 to 5 years is the most impressionable period. You don't question anything, you will absorb only what you get. And what kind of culture you give there, that will make you either an entrepreneur or a professor or this or that. That is partly.
So you're passing on the responsibility to your mother.
Pardon?
You're passing on the responsibility to your mother.
Naturally. If I am a good professor, I should give the credit to my mother. Yes, credit. So what I'm saying is that is about 20%. 70% is your, what you call your genetic endowments. That is, by nature, because of your genetic structure, you will be inclined to certain kind of things. For example, my father had a peculiar problem. See, if I look at the generations, my grandfather used to enjoy drinks very well. And he was a foodie, and he used to like drinks. And of course, in those days, even ganja was permitted. So he had got a few friends. They would sit and enjoy that also, everything. But my father was exactly the opposite. He never used to drink. He never used to smoke. He was absolutely, in fact, he preferred vegetarian food. That is because he had a problem about seeing blood. And, once there was an incident when he was coming from school. He was a school teacher. Coming back from school, a distant relative got into some problem with another person or something, and he stabbed him. And he was lying unconscious on the road. So my father saw him, and then immediately he caught a jeep or something, picked him up, and put him in the jeep and took him to hospital. And by the time you reached the hospital, the person who was unconscious, he became conscious. But my father fell unconscious. Because if he sees blood, he becomes unconscious. The same is my problem. I cannot see animals being slaughtered. If I never buy meat, because of my habit, I would say, by sentiment I am a vegetarian, but by habit I am a non-vegetarian. again blaming my mother, because she used to cook non-vegetarian very well. So I should blame her, I think. Anyway, so this is the reason I cannot buy meat. Suppose you say that there is a very good scope for, let's say, poultry business where you sell meat, chicken meat and all that. And suppose I am there and you tell me to do that, I will not be biologically equipped for doing that. Genetically, I won't be able to do that. Because I very often, in fact, I have this habit of writing poems also whenever I get committed time. For example, if I have to, I am from Banarghata, and if I have to go to the airport, and these trips were quite usual, before COVID time I used to travel quite a lot. So almost 1.5 hours, sometimes 2 hours to reach the airport. What do? I take this one writing pad with me, because sitting in the taxi you cannot write too much. But then I also have a pen with me. I think about something, and then if I get 1 or 2 lines of poem, I write that, scribble that there. Then again, think about it. Because in writing poems, thinking occupies more time rather than actual writing. So by the time I return, one poem will be completed, which I write in a fair one. And, I used to scan that. I never published anything because the ideas used to be quite revolutionary in terms of the concepts of religion and all that. There was something. So I never published anything. But if you search my name on Google, you will find one site, a collection of my poems in Malayalam, but you won't be able to read because you are not familiar with Malayalam. So what I'm saying is, these kinds of, in that I have written something about, once I saw the chicken being held in some kind of a cage with grills and all that. You can see them. Now this butcher occasionally picks up some grains and drops it there, because he wants the chicken to be fat so that he will get more money. Now, I was thinking about the human sentiment. In our religion, for example, they say if something good happens to you, you should thank God. But if something bad happens, no, you should not blame God. So this is a kind of double standard. So I used to think that whatever kind of benefits we get periodically, that is something like what the chicken gets, from the butcher. The chicken may think, oh, this fellow loves me so much, so that he feeds me. So he's so loving. Just like in the religion, you say God is a loving father, but he creates all kinds of problems for people. But that part you will not blame God. That is because of our religion is like that. So I would think that maybe while getting these grains, the chicken will thank this fellow for feeding him, for her or whatever it is. And then suddenly one customer comes and points and then gone. So this I have written in a Malayalam poem, but you won't understand, so I am not going to recite that. So what I'm saying is, because of my problem in looking at animals being butchered and all that, even if there is a great opportunity for meat business in this country or in my region, I will not be the person to do it. Even if there is plenty of profit opportunities there. So that is what I was saying. The part of a great part of what you do or what you become is based on your genetic structure, about 70%. About 20% is what the early socialization, family socialization. Did I bring here? Okay. And about 10% is the subsequent training that you receive. That is not much actually. If you don't have that capability or that inclination for doing something, whatever be the training you undergo, you may not become that. For example, I'm giving a gross example that suppose I have no capability for music. I cannot sing. But I'm very much interested in music, listening to music and all that. I want to know about all that. So I go and sit with several gurus and learn about the different ragas and different kinds of things. Knowledge-wise, I'm rich about music. I have, everything I know. But then, still I cannot sing. So that is my entrepreneurial status. I may have the knowledge, but I may not have that entrepreneurial competencies or inclinations or attitudes within me. Part of it is, tell you, it is created in by the early socialization, and that is where I say much of that is because of the mother, because baby spends most of the time, and very, very subtle way of communicating certain ideas. And this you must have heard about, I'm sure, I don't know whether you have read, when I was reading the biographies of great entrepreneurs for identifying heuristics, direct questionnaires and all that was not helping at all. Because even entrepreneurs don't understand what is heuristics. So if I ask them, oh, do you use this heuristic or that heuristic? They don't know. So this is the, right, therefore what I did was, I developed...
What is heuristic?
I'll tell you that. That is a top secret. Nothing very great. It is unarticulated policies of entrepreneurs. Unarticulated, but implemented. That is, if you are a structured organization, then your policies are all stated and written down, and then employees should know about it, and you go according to what is stated there. Whereas when an entrepreneur starts, he will not write down all those policies and all that. But without, articulating that, he may be behaving that. He may be implementing some of them. And that is why, some of our proverbs can be, I can, just for an example, I can give you a proverb. In the business context itself, you would say, don't put all your eggs in one basket. That is, if you spread risk, there will be limited damage. That is the message to that. Now, because I couldn't explain what is a heuristic even to entrepreneurs, I used to use these proverbs. Of course, most of what I collected was from the biographies of great entrepreneurs. I used to collect from business magazines. I used to keep all those together, and several articles I will compare and all that. And then from their behavior, I used to infer the unarticulated policies. That was how I developed this. That part that is called the case survey method, which I developed myself. That was also an innovation in research. Anyway, so while for a few entrepreneurs, I used to also talk to them also about this, just to see whether what I say is making sense. So to one entrepreneur, I found that he set up his first unit in one state. Then he found that there were that lot of employee, union troubles there, IR problems. So then he created his next unit in another state, where it was more peaceful industrially. And then that place had got another problem, that power shortage. Therefore, he went to another state for his third unit. So I thought he was, putting his eggs in different baskets. So this proverb will be applicable to him, I thought. So I raised this issue. I told him, you have heard of this proverb, don't put all your eggs in one basket. And I suppose you are doing that, spreading your risk. Then he said, no, that is what a merchant will do. What I do is what the hen does. Now the hen cannot put all her eggs in different baskets and none of them will hatch. So I would do that, what the hen does. I put all my eggs in one basket and hatch that. So this is what he thinks he is doing, but otherwise he is doing the other thing also. Therefore,
There's a conflict?
Pardon?
There's a conflict?
No conflict, because it depends on, actually it is not a conflict. I later on realized that, even if he is diversifying and putting it in something, maybe same business, but whatever, if he is doing that, he says, while I am doing that, I will concentrate on that. Maybe at the end, the end state is that there is a kind of diversification. You are in different states and all that. But while I am doing something, I focus on that. I concentrate on that. So that is how I understood that. But sometimes it can be a conflict also. But here I don't think it was a conflict. Basically, what he understands as his policy is one, but in his expression and behavior, it is something else. And that is why it is called heuristics. It is not a stated and enforced policy. It is not an articulated and enforced policy. And that is why we call it heuristic. I called it heuristics. So heuristic research was there earlier, but nobody did anything about entrepreneurs, how they were utilizing this, their policies, without articulation and but enforcing certain type of policies. So that was occasion. Maybe I think I should sit with his permission. No problem, no? Because I have also weak legs. There are no iron there. Okay, now this, all research emerges out of, according to me, even though in the newer setup, people go to the library and read some papers, articles and all that, and then say, he has done research on this, so-and-so has done research on this. There is a gap. So I am going to fill that gap or something like that. Similar kind of things they would do. Now, if you want to have revolutionary ideas, you should pick them up from your life experiences. Now, one of the very celebrated case of that is that of, I don't know, since you are not in academics, you may not have heard this name, but there is only one person so far to have received a Nobel Prize for writing in management, and his name is Herbert Simon. And he, when he was a child, they used to be given certain tasks. They will be given each boy will be given a small basket. The job is to pluck cherries. Now, you pluck it and fill it. Only after you complete that, you can go for play. So children are all very anxious to do it very quickly and then, run away to. So he was very slow in that. He used to be left alone after everyone has left also. His basket was not full. So he was wondering what is happening. Why? How can those people do it so fast, whereas I am lagging behind? And therefore, what later on, what happened? Now they found out was that when they checked with some medical experts or something, they found that he was colorblind. Color blindness is a problem for some people. It is there. So he was colorblind, and therefore, for him to distinguish between the cherries and the leaves was difficult. Whereas for the other children, it is very quick. That was the problem. Now, you know how he applied this kind of knowledge and experience into management theory. And that is the important thing. For example, if I ask you, what is this? Everyone will tell me that this is a table, isn't it? So, what is the important principle involved? You see things as they are. That is what. As things are, that is what you see. But he realized this is not the case. You see things as you are. Because your deficiency or whatever lack of competence in one particular thing, makes you perceive this in a different way than others. And later in life, he applied this principle in management and then said that people have got, even though all of us are rational, we think rationally, that is, they say human being is a rational animal, this is the definition. But still he says, our rationality is not, it is bounded. Bounded because we have our own past experiences, our own prejudices, our own special interest, vested interest, and our own favoritism. All kinds of issues are there. And therefore, in organizational decision making, when, if there is a shop floor issue, you ask the trade union leader, he will have one view. If the manager of the shop floor will have another view, or some other person who is concerned, they will have some other view. This is all because of your prior experiences and your special interest and vested interest and prejudices and all that. So this is why they say organizational decision making happens under bounded rationality. That is, you are rational, but your rationality is limited by your own personality. So this is bounded rationality, and because of that, you do only limited search. You search only what you are interested in and get evidences for supporting your view rather than and ignore all other views. You must have seen the debates of the political people in TV and all that. Whatever is the unfairness and injustice, then they will justify the party's viewpoint. So this is because of this kind of an issue. Their vested interest is coloring their perception. So bounded rationality, so you will try to pick up evidences that can support your view, not the others, and ignore the others. So that is called a limited search. And then, because of that, the kind of decisions that you make in your organizations is not fully rational. He coined a term called satisficing decision. Not satisfactory or satisfying, satisficing decisions. Now this satisficing, F-I-C-I-N-G, that means whatever is in that context, okay, everyone will accept it, and therefore it may not be fully rational. So that is the concept he proposed in a book called Administrative Behavior. And that book was selected for Nobel Prize. And this he got it in the category of economics because Nobel Prize doesn't have management category. But for writing in management, he was the first person, and probably even today the only person to have received a Nobel Prize in. This is because the idea he got was from his real life experience, not from other. So that is what I was also trying to do. I was trying to look at the actual life and behavior of entrepreneurs and then see what is the kind of the unarticulated policies underlying their behavior. So that two cases I need to, in fact, I was told I would be getting only half an hour, and that is why I didn't bring. I have a very elaborate presentation on entrepreneurial heuristics. I didn't think that I would get time to go through all that, so I didn't send it to him. Anyway. But I can share with you the case which became the occasion for me to think differently about entrepreneurship. And that was because when I was teaching, my first job was at Cochin University. There, of course, even though I was fairly junior, I was asked to teach the part-time MBA program. They come in the evenings. So I was also asked to teach. Normally, junior people won't be asked to teach. I stood first in the university while I was studying there, so they had thought that I may be able to teach even the older executives or something like that. Anyway, I got an opportunity to teach. Now, when I looked at, there were 30 participants. When I looked at all the participants, I realized that all are, except one, all are from the corporate sector. Their fees is paid by the companies, and they come in the evening. They are all employed very well, and highly placed executives. One person was an entrepreneur. So I thought he must be a very enlightened entrepreneur, because according to my reading about entrepreneurship at that time, there is in Gujarat they say the 1,000-day syndrome. That is, in your startup, you are all entrepreneurs, you know better. I am not able to claim that it is right, but that is why I am quoting the typical Gujarati business people. They say, within that, this 1,000 days is the entrepreneurial period of your venture. Beyond that, it is the managerial period. You need to have management knowledge at that time. In order to manage, you may have to restructure, you may have to delegate, you may have to, do a lot of managerial kind of things. So this is the kind of theory at my back. So I thought maybe he is an enlightened entrepreneur. After 3-4 years of being an entrepreneur, maybe he wants to acquire management knowledge in order to lead his venture through the growth phase. According to the theory, after this, it is the growth phase. Now there, unless you employ management systems, you will not grow. For example, some entrepreneurs are very, very controlling. They don't want to delegate at all. Now, if you have a large organization, if you want to grow an organization into a large one, then you have to delegate. Someone else will have to. You cannot be everywhere. Therefore, many of these things, requires proper management and all that. Anyway, so this is the reason I thought that he's come for learning about management. Otherwise, there is no reason for entrepreneurs to come for learning management, because I find that the great entrepreneurs are college dropouts. When they become passionate about what they want to do, like Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, then Michael Dell, Everyone is a college dropout. They did not complete their degree. Even our Mukesh Ambani, that is the difference between the two. Both Anil and Mukesh were studying abroad when Dhirubhai was installing his Jamnagar refinery. That was the time when he was getting into the oil sector proper. So when he was doing that, Mukesh discontinued his course there and came back and helped his father. Anil continued and he got his degree. Mukesh did not get the degree. You know the plight now. Mukesh is doing very well. Anil is a pauper, declared himself as a pauper. So it is not the management knowledge that makes you a good entrepreneur. I fully agree with that. So, but the theory was that you need management knowledge or management practices after a certain stage when you are in the growth stage. That was the kind of theory. So I thought, maybe he is an enlightened entrepreneur, and I went and tried to compliment him. And then he looked very sadly to my face and then said, "Sir, I don't want to talk about it here. If you don't mind, I'll come to your office." I said, "You are most welcome. Let us talk there." And after class, he came there. And he was literally weeping. All that he was saying was that he was a very bright student in the engineering college. Now, in those days, government had a kind of understanding that entrepreneurship means manufacturing, and which means the most suitable kind of graduates are engineering graduates. Now, they should be trained in entrepreneurship also. So there was a rule that all engineering colleges will have to have a subject, entrepreneurship subject. You had one? No? Okay. Who is an engineer here? Did you have that? Maybe by that time this was discontinued. So at that time it was there. In fact, there was nobody to teach that also, because qualified teachers were not there, in entrepreneurship there. So I remember my own secretary's daughter was doing engineering. This subject she had to pass. So he used to bring her to my office, and I used to tell her about entrepreneurship and all that, for her to pass the exam. Anyway, so because of that, somebody came from outside and taught entrepreneurship. And then, they have also some kind of a test in order to see whether you have enough achievement orientation. There is a famous scholar called David McClelland. He developed a theory that if you have achievement motivation, you will become an entrepreneur. Of course, I have severely criticized that in my previous book on high growth enterprises, that achievement motivation can be exercised in any kind of profession. It is not in this one alone, the entrepreneurship alone. Maybe entrepreneurs are also achievement oriented, that's okay. So to say that somebody with achievement orientation or motivation will be definitely an entrepreneur is not true. They can achieve in academics, or they can achieve in music or acting or whatever it is, they can do that. So, but then how was he testing achievement motivation? Achievement motivation in those days, he designed an exercise called ring toss exercise. Ring toss exercise is you keep a pole in the middle somewhere, and then the participants are asked to choose their distance and then try to throw this ring around the pole. Now, the theory is that if you choose a moderate distance, if you go too near, then you are taking things easy. You don't want to accept a difficult situation. That's so you cannot. Then if you are going too far also, you are not realistic. So you should choose, the theory is that if you choose a moderate distance and then try to put in about 6 or more or something, then you are considered to be achievement oriented, and therefore you will become an entrepreneur. So this is how they used to train in the college. Somebody came from outside. So I remember when we were doing MBA, also the same exercise was done by one of our professors, just to not for selecting as an entrepreneur or something, but just as an exercise. It was a very popular exercise at that time, and I remember most of us conformed to that theory. We were taking moderate distance and then trying to achieve. Actually, some people got more than 5 and all that, so others got less than that. Okay, some evaluation and all that was done after the exercise. But I still remember there was one person who went very close there and then put all the 10 on that. And he was very severely criticized by the trainer that you are not achievement oriented, you take things easy and all that. But in future life, he was the only one to become an entrepreneur. And when I asked him, later on, I asked him, you remember this incident, why did you do that? Then he said, if I am given the freedom to choose the distance, why should I waste my time and resources by choosing another distance? I'll finish that and get into some other task. That is entrepreneurial. So, pardon?
Out of the box thinking.
Pardon?
Out of the box thinking.
No. He was. This is a heuristic actually. He was, having this unarticulated policy in the back of his mind that I should not waste my time on things where I have a choice.
Yes.
Let it complete, and then I'll get into some other things which I can do. So I can do more things. That is the idea. So what I'm saying is all these academic research and kind of theories proposed were all probably defective. It was not all that great.
Focus is on the goal.
Focus
is only on the goal, nothing else.
So anyway, what I'm saying is this other boy, the engineering graduate, he got this entrepreneurship training, and there he was assessed to be high on achievement motivation, and therefore they pick up those people and then make them, promote them as entrepreneurs. You should start your business, and then all kinds of supports are given. What is the support? People who are chosen like this, they will be given special training by the Ahmedabad. There is an EDI, that is Entrepreneurship Development Institute of India. Somebody would come from there and give training to them how to become an entrepreneur. And then secondly, they will be getting, this happened in Kerala, there is an institution called KITCO, Kerala Industrial and Technical Consultancy Organization. So their job is, there are some armchair professionals, they sit and prepare business project plans, reports, like business plans. Prepare that. Pardon? Sorry. So this will be given to free in those days. Otherwise, if you want to buy a KITCO's business plan, then you have to pay 1,000 rupees or something. So for people who are selected and trained like this by the engineering college, they'll be given this free. Then what else is free? If you get a KITCO report, a business plan, then you will be given concessional loan. In those days, the interest rates were very high, 18 to 24%. That was the interest rate. Now, they'll be getting a concessional loan of 12%. That was another big advantage of 80% of the project, investment recommended in the project report. So he got one like that. And then in addition to that, they will also be given a space in the industrial estate where it's partly built up. You only have to build your internal kind of things and then install the machines and all that. These kinds of fully supported kind of a venture. And incidentally, the kind of project report he got was for making helmets and other kinds of articles using fiberglass technology. So that was the kind of project. Then he told those people, see, I am a mechanical engineer. I wouldn't be able to manage this. This is a chemical engineering based. So I wouldn't be able to manage this. Then he said, no, don't worry. You can employ some people who are, who have worked in this field earlier, and they will manage it. You only have to supervise. Maybe to some extent that can be done, but then he was not very confident, but still it was almost thrust upon him. And there is another theory that straight away from your college or something, you should not normally go into entrepreneurship. There is a kind of learning that you can get, particularly about identifying market opportunities through your experience. And that is called the corridor principle. Supposing I am confined to this place, because he doesn't allow me to go out or move, then I wouldn't know what is outside there. In the outside place, I want to know what is happening in the external space, then I need to walk around in the corridor. And that is called the corridor principle, which means if you work with somebody at nobody's cost, every entrepreneur in that way should have what I call a godfather. That is, somebody who bears your expenses. You are learning the business at the expense of somebody else. If you start doing it and you fail, then it will be much more costly than if you learn in a company. Maybe you made some mistake and you failed somewhere, but that is a learning experience for you. You don't lose much. So you can also get the opportunity for identifying the market relevant ideas. Because very often, I remember when I was invited to take over as the chair professor at N.S. Raghavan Center. That is mainly a business incubator. So all that we were doing there was, we were just periodically organizing some funding agencies, angel investors and venture capitalists. These kinds of people used to come and interact with them. The underlying assumption is that the most important part in the business, in starting a business, is getting the money. But when I looked at these cases, I realized that it is very secondary. The most important part is finding a customer. Finding a market is the most important thing. And then you can, you get your money also later on. That is not an issue. So that part was, not very highlighted in this one. And this man just, was almost pushed into it. So the market relevant ideas you get only when you are working in some other organization and interacting with, others. For example, when the story of Asian Paints. Asian Paints, his name was Choksi, I think, the founder, and one other person also, Gujaratis. So when he was a salesperson in a paint company. I don't know what it was anyway. That was, they said at that time it was a Japanese collaboration or something like that, I don't know. Anyway, in those days, paint was available only in 2-liter cans, minimum. So less than that is not available. So as a salesperson, he went around selling all that. They said, oh, there is some small work for my gate, some paint is gone. Can I get 50 ml or 100 ml or something? He was not able to provide. And when many such requests came, he thought that is a market relevant idea. And when he started his own painting business, he started with these small packs. And that's, nobody else was there. So there is a principle, of course, heuristic, I say, instead of competing, you avoid competition. You just, go into some area where there is nobody to compete. And those kinds of areas can be identified only if you are working in the related field. And this is called the corridor principle. You walk around the corridor, then you get these kinds of ideas, and then you can start. Anyway, so this was, a person straight away being pushed into this entrepreneurship. And what he had to manufacture was any product for making, using the fiberglass. There are products like even chairs can be made, or bathtubs can be made, wash basins can be made. Helmets were traditionally being made with that. So the project report, when these armchair professionals write the project report, they are not doing this incremental thinking. Whereas a business is grown incrementally by a real entrepreneur. He will not set it up for the final stage. But what these people, professionals, academic kind of professionals do is, they look at an existing business and then see what are the machines they have, what are this one they have, what is their total investment. These kinds of things, and then finally put all that in the project report. And once you take this project report and get a concessional loan based on that, the banks will not leave you. They'll be after you saying that, where is this machine, that machine? You took money for that, but you did not have this machine. So he had to buy all those machines and all, dies and molds for different types of products and all that, which he couldn't use at all. He was only manufacturing some helmets, and that too he couldn't sell because the standard brands are there. So he couldn't, and helmet was not compulsory at that time. So he had to, even for paying that is the other part, that is for raising the money. The total project cost was about 10 lakhs. So 80%, that is 8 lakhs will be available from the financial institution. But for 2 lakhs he has to raise. A student just coming out of that, his parents could raise a maximum of 50,000 or something. And then he was frantically looking for partners who could invest 50-50 or something like that. And he got 3 partners. One of them said, I can invest 50,000 because I am related to your family, but I will not do any work on this. I am having my job, so I won't get involved. The second one said that he had his own business in another town. So he said, now I can contribute 50,000, but you should set up the marketing office in my place. Your company is here, but in the other town, you should have the marketing office. So he had to agree to that in order to get the money. So for a small company, manufacturing here and then having a marketing office somewhere else, and there is no coordination with all that. And then the third one was a commerce graduate. So he said, I'll handle finance. What was his interest? He was just, loafing around, and every day he used to go to a club to play cards. So what he thought was, if he is handling finance in those days, every day you have to go to the bank. The finance manager used to go to the bank every day. So you go, and while you're coming back, you get down there, your club, at your club, and then you start playing cards and you go back home. This was his style. So finally, the full responsibility for running the business was upon this person. And he couldn't even pay the interest of the concessional loan of 8 lakhs. He was not generating any revenues at all. Then he had to sell his car. Initially, and in those days, about 48,000 you could get a Maruti car. So in the project itself, it was recommended. So he bought a car, So car was sold first. Then he migrated to a scooter. And after some time, that was also sold and then wife's ornaments were pawned or sold or something like that. So finally, there was the sad story he was narrating, one very emotional, sentimental kind of thing. He was literally weeping, and even I am getting tears in my eyes when he said this. So in this family, because it was a business-related family, almost every time you are talking about what you call your buying and selling and all that. So he had a small kid. When he had to walk, earlier he used to go in the car or later on in the scooter also to the bus stops and all that. The father would take him and drop him there and all. Now, this has changed now. He had to walk with his mother and he did not like it. So once he told his mother, Mother, shall we sell this father and buy a father having a car? So he has imbibed the business ideology of buying and selling and said that we want to sell this father, we want to have a... So what a kind of emotional shock it would be. So this is the kind of right, and then finally he thought he will wind up this business, and he wanted to get into a job, but nobody would accept him because as a failed entrepreneur, and his own colleagues who were batchmates of his, they are all in very good positions in the companies and all that, and he doesn't want to join at those places in a very junior level and all that. So he was in a very, very, very depressed condition. So finally he contacted a friend in Dubai. So he said, I'll try to help you, but with your engineering degree alone that will not work out. So get an MBA. If you get an MBA, I'll get you a job here. And that is why he came for this studies, MBA studies, part-time MBA. And he was telling me, sir, please don't tell anyone. The day I get my results, I'll lock my company and then take the flight to Dubai. Because if the creditors would come to know of this, they will not allow him to go. So he said, this should be complete, total secret. And I honored my word. I did not tell anyone. And he literally did what he said, that, when he got the result, that day itself, in the night, he locked it and left the place. So this is one story. Now the contrast will be another story, but Balaji says, my time is up. This is what God says. Your time is up. Balaji is God's name, no? Tirupati. Okay. So Balaji says, so the other story is very interesting. That is why I am raising your curiosity. You want to listen to that? With his permission only. Okay. The other story is that of a 9th class dropout. Now the story, I am making this comparison because both of them are in the same business of this one, fiberglass, this one. And they were in the similar time, in the same city, working. One is extremely successful, the other one is miserable failure. And the one who was successful was educated and trained and supported and all that. Whereas the one who, successful, he was a school dropout because his father died or something. He couldn't study beyond this one. He had an older brother, 2 sisters, and then mother to take care and all that. It's a poor family. So this is the kind of situation for him. Now, if he became successful, then I thought the policies of these two, maybe the underlying unarticulated policies or the heuristics by which they are guided are different. And that was what I wanted to explore there. Of course, this other story, I'll very briefly tell you, otherwise you will not understand the significance of it. This boy was near my university. He used to come to the parking lot of my institute, School of Management Studies. There he would wait. He will not dare to come inside this thing. He has seen me going, and he has also learned something about me from some others. So once he met one attendant there, peon. He told him, can you go and tell so-and-so for me to meet him for a while? So when he came and told me, I said, all right, call him. And he came. He was very, very humble and like this. He was standing before me. I told him to sit. No, he would not sit. Sir, can you please help me? I want to go for a program organized by Fiberglass Pilkington. There, as a sales promotion, they train these people in the fiberglass technology. They are manufacturers of fiberglass mat. Resins and accelerator are manufactured by somebody else. But if they train people, when they take up contracts, they will buy the mat from these people. That was the idea. But training is free with a stipend also. 1 month full training in Bangalore. But, sir, I cannot write in English. So if you can write a letter for me, I'll be very grateful. So I wrote a letter and gave it to him. He sent it and he got a call. He went there. So of course, while doing this for him, I just asked him, because I knew the background, we had a discussion, that he was working with a fiberglass unit. So I told him, you know about the fiberglass technology because you are working there. So why do you want to go for this training? Then he was saying, see, our owners have got a problem. That was why I said that entrepreneurs, if they are in the same field, such interactive sessions they may not like, because their secrets they will not want to reveal to others. So competitors will steal it. Anyway, he said, our owners are very secretive about mixing of the resin and the accelerator. If that proportion is known to you, you can yourself do the work. So what he used to do was, because he had always this idea of starting something on his own, he used to take this one after the work, whatever is left over, he used to mix it and then see how brittle it becomes and all that. That kind of testing he has done. He said, I know all this. No, not much of a problem for me. But the problem is this, that if I go as a worker, I have been working in this and I want to get a contract, nobody will give me. Whereas if I get a certificate from Pilkington, then everybody will accept me. So that is the reason why he wanted to go for this. You see the thinking. And then he came back and registered a company, as in those days it was called SSI units. Not MSME. MSME is the newer terminology. SSI unit. Now, SSIs had got certain advantages there. That is, all public sector organizations or companies should give at least 25% of their work to subcontracts to SSIs. And once they give it, they also have a rule that if an SSI is getting a contract, then they would give the 50% of the money in advance for buying the raw materials. So this is the kind of scheme. He knew all this, even with that kind of level of education, because he was working in a company like this. This is why I said the importance of the experience. When you are working with the company, you came to know, what are the kind of provisions, what are the kind of things that are available for SSIs and all that. Anyway, so he went and got his certificate. He came back and then he came again with me. Sir, thanks a lot. Because of you, I got my life settled. Now I can get into my work company. I can start my company. So I just incidentally asked him, do you have enough money to invest? Because I knew about the other person, 10 lakhs investment and all that. Then he said, no sir, that is not a problem. What is it? Because this technology has got several other applications. One is that of lining the tanks and vessels in chemical companies. Now, this is a dirty job. The lining is done to avoid corrosion to the metal cover. Therefore, this work, very few people are there to do. And he first approached a public sector company so that they were looking for SSI units to come forward because they have to fill their quota of 25%. So he went and contacted him. Immediately he got the contract and immediately he got the money also. So he says, where is the need for investment? He said, all my investment, I asked him because I wanted to make the comparison with the other person. 10 lakhs investment, he said, my investment was about 100 rupees. Bought some brushes and all that. The buckets also were available from his previous work. All that were there. So this is what he invested. Then the 50% advance he got for buying the raw materials like fiberglass mat and resin and accelerator, all kinds of things. And who is the employee? He is the only one. Therefore, the entire profit was his. And he went on doing this and accumulated resources. Now, this is the difference I found. Therefore, and later on, when he wanted to expand his business, manufacture, getting into manufacturing, he said that, sir, one day he came in an auto rickshaw where he manufactured some chairs, which are stacked in 5 each, like this plastic chairs, how they stack it. That way, 2 sets are there. And then he came and stopped near the university, came up, said, if you don't mind, can you come and look at what I have done? Then I went and saw it. He said, this is how, you can carry. I want to demonstrate it to a person who rents out furniture for parties. Now, he approached those. See, this is another difference I found. The other fellow was directly entering into the B2C market. Business to and customer. The customer market is very difficult. Each one will have to be some way contacted and, promotion and advertisement, all kinds of expenses are involved in that. Whereas B2B market, that was what he was doing. He went and contacted a person who hires furniture. Whereas the other person, when he made furniture, he told me he sent this to a furniture shop for selling. And when, 100 pieces he sent it after manufacturing, the other person. Then he said, when it came back, they said they couldn't sell anything. The reason is, in the furniture shops in those days, people go only for the traditional furniture with wood and steel and those kinds of things. Nobody wants fiberglass furniture there, because their customers are going there. It is not for parties and kind of thing. So he said, he contacted people who hire furniture for this. So they had one serious objection. They said the traditional metal chair, you can fold it, and then 2 or 3 can be carried by one worker, and it is easy. So that is it. Then he said, metal furniture has got a problem. These are very often in the open air. Sometimes water will fall on that, and then it will rust and all that. But he said that is okay. Plastic or fiberglass thing is okay. But then this is a very big disadvantage. You cannot carry it. So he said, as a sample, he got the dies and molds built by a local carpenter and made this chair, 10 of them, and he was going to demonstrate to the person how this can be carried. And he went, demonstrated, and he got the order for 500 pieces. So this is what I call the heuristic of sell and produce. The other fellow was producing and selling. Here he is selling and first got the order and then confirmed order. Now if he manufactures, nobody will return this thing. That is it. And the advantage of this is, the disadvantage, he said, I can solve like this. Advantage is that it is light compared to the other one. Secondly, it doesn't get rusted. So people were happy. Like that, whenever he did something like this, he used to contact this B2B, style, and then get the order. Like for bathtubs and wash basins and all that, it was only construction companies, big flats, complex and all that. He would contact them and explain the advantage and get a few orders and do it or not. Now, later on, when he wanted to further expand his business, you know what he did? He wanted to get into distribution business of resin and accelerator. So he came and told me, sir, can you write a project report for me for this? Because, if you submit this project report, I can get some loan and all that. So I said, your competency is in manufacturing. Why do you want to get into this? Then he was saying, see, now fiberglass, Pilkington is training so many people. Many of them are coming back and doing the same thing that I am doing. Therefore, they are creating competition for me. They will buy the fiberglass mat from there. But if I have the exclusive sale of the resin and accelerator, I will come to know when they are going to plan for something. They will come and ask whether there is stock for these materials. So this was a strategy for preventing competition. He would tell them that, now there is some shortage, it will take time and all that. When he is intending to bid for something, he will tell them that this is why he is getting into this resin and accelerator business. I was thinking of that kind of business wisdom that he was showing. And then, you know what he did? In those days, they say this concessional loan was available only to people with matriculation or above. Now, he is not a matriculate. Therefore, he thought, and I told him, even if I write a project report, you may not get your concessional loan. And he said, sir, I will think about it. And then somehow I wrote the project report. I asked him, now you are rich enough, you can buy one project report from the official agency, which is, for 1,000 rupees you can get it one. That would be good enough, isn't it? Then he said, if I buy from them, I'll have to implement whatever they are saying. That may not be feasible at all. They will write about something already grown up. That kind of a business they will just copy and give you. So what he did was, he had to asked me to write something that he wanted to implement, and then he took it to this official agency. I would not say he is unethical, but he went and bribed one fellow there, 500 rupees he gave him, and he got it signed by that agency, and it became an official kind of a project report he got. And then, of course, this matriculation issue was there. So that was the time, he got married to a matriculate girl, registered the company. Yes. Registered the company in her name and got the concessional loan also. So this is not golden vibe, it is golden wife. Anyway, there was another one also. Like, he says I should stop. Another one he did was, he told me, I'm going to build another unit in another town. So then I said, if you are expanding your business, you should do it here itself. So he said, sir, my brother, you see, in that family, when two brothers are there, it was his older brother. So he said, he doesn't know how to deal with customers. He annoys customers and all that. So I don't want to create a problem in the family. So I'm going to build exactly the same kind of a unit for him, but in another town, so that he will not interfere with my business here. So, and I'll give him this so that he will go away from this. Otherwise, you cannot split the partnership. So this is how partners should be compatible. That is another heuristic. The other fellow took the partners based on the money they can contribute, whereas he is thinking about the compatibility of the partners. So that was the norm that he was using. Anyway, so there are many such things he was doing. So I just brought something about the comparison. Of course, all these are in the slides, but I did not send it to him in case anybody is interested in the entire presentation, but it is all too much of other things. So I have listed here the 10 different types of heuristics or unarticulated policies that these two people, contrasting ones, they were implementing. So I can just read out. Photocopy you can give later, but for the time being, I'll just read out this. The first one, I call it Entrepreneur A. The second one, Entrepreneur B, whatever the name, all right. So the first is that accept a project which has got external support. That was the heuristic that the Entrepreneur A was using. The second one, accept a project only if it is intrinsically viable. So the quality of the project, those are the kind of two contrasting heuristics. Then second one, invest as recommended by the professionals. Whereas he says, minimize investments, especially in the initial stages. He said he had only invested 100 rupees initially, then used the internal resources in order to grow. Then the third one, take whatever loans are available, get all the loans. He says minimize loans. Only if it is absolutely necessary. Like in the case of the second business, he really needed money because he needed to get the stock for which he had to pay the companies and all that. So there he took it. So only if it is needed. Otherwise, initial stages, don't take loans. That was what he was telling me. Then fourth one, the first entrepreneur A believed that, or he was made to believe, it was not his policy, I think, that he can acquire the technology through staff. But in the other person, he wanted the technology to be his own also. He should also be familiar with the technology, and that's why he went to even get a certificate from Fiberglass Pilkington. Then the fifth one is follow the professionally prepared business plans. Here, follow one's own incremental plans. You don't, decide what should be the state of this final, project or business. As it grows, depending on the situation at that time, you develop and enhance, and that is the kind of thing, incremental kind of thing. Then I mentioned about B2C market, the first one. There it is B2B market. You need to contact only one person in B2B market. The responsible person, if you can convince that person, you get a large order. Whereas in this case, you will have to convince 100 or hundreds of people, and still you may not get enough orders. So that is B2C and B2B. Then compete in the usual market. That is the first one. Then here, avoid or eliminate competition by doing some strategy, like getting the distributorship of the resin. And then the eighth one is partners for the money. That was the first, entrepreneur A was doing that. Here he is saying compatible partners, ideology-wise and skills-wise. Compatible skills should be also there. Then another one also I have mentioned. Here he was following produce and sell. You first produce and then you try to sell that. And finally, whereas his style was, B style was sell and produce. First you sell and get an order, and then when last one is set up something as the grown-up business level with all that kind of machines and facilities. Whereas here he say start small and grow big organically. That is the. So this is what I started with. Then I of course examined almost 138 cases of biographies of great entrepreneurs and generated a large number of such heuristics. It came to more than about 600 or something like that. And then, of course, by elimination and all that interviews, came down to 187. Out of that, the ones which were used specifically by innovators were about 56. So that also all are discussed in my book and other places. But I am sure you know much better heuristics than me because you are actually doing it. So thank you very much. And okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
All right.
So I just thought a couple of minutes on how sir's heuristics impacted. Then we'll take a break and so on. Just
10. You are an entrepreneur.
And they told me I'm not entrepreneur material, right?
they will tell you. They will tell you, but the real thing is different.
So I thought, maybe, of course, I became an entrepreneur much later. But in my mind, okay, I'm not meant to be an entrepreneur because I'm not a risk taker, right? So because I just went and put it all the rings on the bowling pin. So that's why when I discussed, when Professor Manimala was telling me this, I totally connected with that experiment, right? And this was the big breakthrough that he made, that entrepreneurs do things for their own reasons. They don't do it out of somebody else saying something like this. And another thing that Professor Manimala told me at that time was this aspect of tightrope walking in a circus, right? I think so.
Yeah.
Huh? So
that is risk-taking.
About risk-taking.
Maybe I can explain that.
So entrepreneurs don't really, if you think of a tightrope, in the circus, someone walking on the tightrope, it looks very dangerous for us, for all the people who are watching. But for the person who's doing the tightrope, there is no danger at all in his mind.
For him.
For him, because he has practiced it so many times.
No, not only that, I'll give you a comparison. Because the first important trait identified about entrepreneurs by an economist called Knight, he said risk-taking is the most important quality. Later on, achievement motivation was mentioned by McClellan, like that. The first one was this. So I have very seriously critiqued that in my book. That is, I said entrepreneurs are not risk takers. If that is the case, the gamblers would be the best entrepreneurs. They are the ones who love risk and take it, but they don't become the best entrepreneurs. So they are either risk avoiders or risk minimizers or risk managers. That is entrepreneurial. And there I said that there could be a difference in the perception of risk. That is, if I am watching a circus and somebody doing that trapeze business, I may feel that it is very risky, and I will not, even if I'm asked, I will not do it. But how do we measure the risk? By looking at the number of accidents that has happened in that. And I made an inquiry in that year in circus camps, no such accidents happened. And if an accident happened also, it may not be fatal because there will be safety requirements and all that. Therefore, whereas you look at driving on Bangalore roads, that year, the data told me that inside Bangalore, there were 800 deaths in automobile accidents. So, technically, driving on the Bangalore roads is riskier than doing trapeze work. But then, I have no problem in taking my car out. I do it because I have been doing it. Whereas I will not do the other one. So that is what makes it a different perception. What we think entrepreneur is taking risk may not be perceived as risky by him because of his prior experience and understanding of the situation and all that. And another one also I learned from an alcoholic also, I should tell you that. One of the best principle when I looked at the person falling for support of the government and therefore becoming an entrepreneur, I learned a lesson which was relevant for that. That is like this. I had a colleague in Cochin. He was addicted to liquor. Every day he has to have it. So both of us together were nominated for a faculty development program in IIM Ahmedabad. And Ahmedabad is a dry state. You will not get liquor there. So while we were traveling in the train, I asked him, "Sir, how will you manage in Ahmedabad?" Then he was saying, "Oh, yes. I'm not very particular about drinks. If it is available, I'll drink. If it is not available," then he paused for a while and then said, "I'll make it available and drink." So this is the greatest entrepreneurial principle I found. That is, if support is available, I'll use it. If it is not available, I'll make it available and do the work.
So awesome. So he broke certain very cardinal principles which were there, understood in the past about entrepreneurship. And I think we need to kind of learn that entrepreneurs do things for their own reasons, and they are not risk takers. Okay, you are risk minimizers, or you take another. Saraswati has another phrase: you take affordable loss, right? So that's the other principle. So how does it all connect with what we are doing here in LEC? I think you would have got it. So this is the reason why we think about strategy as an inside-out thing. It's not an outside-in thing, right? And the example Sir gave was very apt, right? So you do things because it makes sense to you, not because it makes sense to some other academic or some other researcher or somebody like that. And that's the reason why we are doing Golden Vibe sessions here, because then you are able to really get in touch with what is the passion within you which is driving you. And of course, you marry it with the skills that you have and how can it be of use to someone else. Okay, so that was the connection and why this is a very awesome finding. So let's, shall we, dinner is ready? Okay, so dinner is ready. So we can, go straight to the fourth floor, spend some time with Sir and, interact with him, get some more heuristics, what he has observed from entrepreneurs and so on and so forth. And